Shut up and sit down.
The word epic is one of the most misused and overused words in the English language.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a whole year since our box got stolen. I ran that go-kart into a telephone pole. We hated James, but this just made us hate more. Cause for the last year, we've been riding skateboards. Friggin' skateboard, I would rather walk. Do I look like Tony Hawk? No.
You are listening to the Not So Epic Dialed podcast with Matt Lee Grand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von During. This has always resonated with me, so I'll share. In every journey comes a moment, one like no other. And in that moment, you must decide between who you are and who you want to be.
And Mike, don't forget the spinach. Hey, you stop, breathe. Hands in the air, get down on your knees. Don't make us have to fight back, cause you won't really like that. We just want our bikes back.
Today we're getting down with crisp, lit, and epic.
Down on your knees. Don't make us have to fight back, cause you won't really like that. We just want our bikes back. Yeah. You can't always get your bikes back, but then you at least gotta try to get them back. Sometimes if you get your bike stolen, it will get sold or something. But you still gotta keep your head up. Peace.
Unfortunately, I'm diagnosing you as not epic.
All right, welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I am Jake Von During, and I'm here with Lance Epler.
Lance Romance right here with you, Jake.
How you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Good.
I think I'm good.
Yep.
Yep.
We got an all cycling team again today. The Tri Boys are
got rid of the triathletes.
on break. So back in the studio with us today, Paige Edwards. Welcome back, Paige.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. We had quite a few people after the last time you were on with us say how awesome you did and how much they enjoyed you. So
you were quite popular.
You were.
You're quite popular. They're like, that Paige, she was great. She hassled you guys. I shouldn't have said that. It's no hassling today.
I didn't even mean to hassle. I'm just too boring.
That was beautiful, though. Yeah, I had a lot of people ping me and say, you guys need to have her back on again. So there's been some stuff that's been going on. You've had some things come up in your life. You've been doing some bike racing, so why not? Plus, we're going to be talking about something today. We'll get into that in a little bit, that I think you might be able to impart some knowledge on, some wisdom, if you will. So
I'm very wise.
Should be fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the three of us sitting here, two of us did a bike race, and one of them, maybe the guy talking right now, didn't. Let's do some backpedaling. Talk about what you guys had going on. Lance, go for it.
Well, I actually had a fairly rough week. I did not feel good all week long. I actually got my second dose of the vaccine on Thursday, and it put me into a little bit of a funk on Friday, and I actually raced on Saturday. I still went down and raced on Saturday.
Good on you.
This was this is Mike Ripley's race, the Mudslinger. It's like the 38th. Thank you, 34th year or something. He's been doing it for a long time. So kind of exciting for that. Little bit shorter course this year. Had to do it time trial style because there was really not enough room on the course to stage a group and still get their permit to run the race. So it still was time trial style. But the long course was only, what was it? It was like 12 miles or something like that, or 11 miles, but it had 2,400 feet of elevation gain.
That is a lot of climbing for that short of a race.
A lot of climbing. There were 3 major climbs during the race, and that made it hard. So, in big non-shocker, I did not win this week.
Can't win them all, buddy.
Neither did I.
Neither did Paige. I actually race morning. I thought I felt okay, but being flat, whatever. Here goes the excuses. Want to hear all the excuses? No.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Court Johnson won our Cat 250 plus
Super
category.
strong dude, though, right?
Super strong dude. I was feeling good about my chances with Court because I beat him by like 4 minutes at Echo. But this was a very different course. Echo was 17 miles of single track. This had 3 major climbs that none of which were single track. It was all like double,
like Jeep Trail kind of stuff?
Like Jeep Trail, like gravel road, single
sure.
track. So it was just like full gas. And he out-climbed me.
Wow.
And also, I got beat by teammate Scott Carroll.
Scott's strong.
Scott is strong.
Scott did a lot of Zwift racing this offseason.
He Zwift raced 3 or 4 times a week, it looked like.
What the heck?
Yeah. All through the winter, and so he was quite strong. We actually staged ourselves so that we could gauge each other. Court, me, and Scott.
Okay.
So Court went first. I went 20 seconds later. Scott went 20 seconds after me.
Sure.
I expected Scott to catch me on the climbs, but I thought both of us would catch Court, and we just never did. He rode just fantastic, so good for him. I only lost to Scott by 18 seconds. It was really quite close.
Yeah.
And it was a little frustrating for me because he outclimbed me, but I was out descending him and beating him on the single track stuff. And I would catch him on the single track, but I couldn't get around him.
Oh. And he wasn't going to let you get around him either, right?
You had to let people pass.
Well, I mean, we were racing, and we're pretty evenly matched. So it was. I gotta say, it was really good for me.
Yeah.
I was very disappointed that I didn't do better. But I think I needed to be poked a little bit, and I needed to be humbled a lot.
Well, this is kind of an interesting thing with a team dynamic. Usually, when you think team, you're thinking like road racing. There's a lot to be said about having a teammate there with you. But in a mountain bike race, more times than not, it's every man and woman for themselves.
A little bit different.
And yeah, like you guys are competitors. You're on the same team, but you're competitors, and you both want to win that race. And now there will be situations or scenarios where that might play to your advantage, because let's say that both of you caught up to Court and one of you wasn't feeling it and maybe was going to say, hey, I'll support you. Maybe there's some trail blocking. Is that bad? I mean, or
I don't know.
Or maybe there could be some like flats where one person can pull another guy up to another person.
Yeah.
There's things that go there.
There was none of that in this race.
Exactly.
No flats.
This race was like a time trial format. It's go out there, get your best time. And
when I caught Carroll on the single track sections, it wasn't like there wasn't like an opportunity for me to pass him. It was like I was right on him and we were moving together. I would have gone faster without him in front of me, but it wasn't. So I hold no ill will at all. It was straight up racing.
Yeah, exactly.
It was good stuff.
Yeah, if it was me and you out there, we would have been deucing and duking it up and dicing it out, and it'd be fun.
So it was exciting. We had a lot of teammates out there, which was fantastic. A lot of teammates did really well. So it was just nice to be out there in a big race. There was about 300 racers, which was fantastic.
So you were on the podium. Paige, you were on the podium. All right. And then we had Scott Carroll on the podium. We had Terry Hamness just missed the podium in your 50s. He was
right
fourth
behind
place
us.
right behind you.
Yep.
See here, Danny Stiles.
She won the Cat 3 Women's 40 to 49.
Good on you, Danny.
And also Kim Catherine. Did I say that right?
Catherine, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, she was second in the Cat 2 Women 19 to 39.
Good job, Kim.
So way to go for Kim. I think.
And we can get into more of that later if you remember any of that. But we had quite a few teammates there, correct?
But yeah, a bunch of teammates.
Sweet.
Some kids raced. It was great. So
well done, dude.
Thank you. I shouldn't feel too bad. I PR'd like every single segment during the race, so I actually went faster than I have in years past. I wanted to win.
So
didn't win.
Mudslinger, that's the name of the event promotion company.
Correct.
And that was the name of the race.
Yes.
Is that the signature race? Is that their big A race for their whole? I know that they all set it up like it's a series.
There's a series.
But isn't Sister Stampede kind of like the one that's usually the most attended?
Yes.
Okay.
Sister Stampede's a little bit bigger. It is on Memorial Day weekend,
Correct.
so it's a holiday weekend, and it's in Sisters, Oregon, which is near Bend, so it tends to pull a lot more people in.
And might that be on your radar?
Yes,
for
it is.
A little redemption?
It is 8 weeks away. Court beat me last year at that.
Okay.
And so I'm freaking gonna. I was so mad. I went out and rode 4.5 hours the next day.
like you do. Like you do.
I got on my road bike and I'm just gonna go until I ran out of time, and I rode until I ran out of time.
Gotcha. Paige, what you been up to?
So, have you guys talked about Echo yet? Red to Red?
We talked about that.
Like last week or something.
Something like that. Yeah, but how did you do?
Yeah.
I got third in Elite Women at Red to Red, and I was super happy with that because there was a pretty stacked field.
Yeah.
Clara Honsinger and a woman named Emma, I forgot her last name, who is a pro who's older. I think she races for Kenda or something like that.
Okay.
And a bunch of other fast ladies. And we were going out and like on the gravel section, and everyone was fighting to get to the trailhead first. And I didn't get a good position there, but I'm actually glad because I didn't burn myself out.
Mm-hmm.
And basically it was a super long battle with everyone I passed for third, and I was super happy with my like overall performance because like afterwards I couldn't even stand.
That was what I was going to say. The one thing I remember from that race, like the one image that stands out the most was Paige on her back, like just yard sailed after the race.
Just sprawled out at the end.
I literally could. I was like, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And then I did.
Weren't you saying something like I was going to just stand there, but then I had to lay down? Like your body physically said lay down?
I wouldn't like lay down for a show.
Yeah.
Ever.
No. But
I was like, there's a bunch of people around.
You were spent, and that's how you should finish a race.
Yeah.
More times than not, when you're battling, you should be done. You shouldn't have anything in the tank.
Well, Echo ended with like a 1.5 mile uphill gravel road, and Mudslinger ended with a downhill.
There was 20-mile-per-hour winds during my race.
Yes.
At Echo?
Yes, at Echo.
And headwind.
It was
rough.
It
It
was
was
rough.
crazy.
Yeah.
And
Thankfully, you're small, so you can get down low. But still,
I don't know if it helped because I was definitely feeling the effects of it.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it did. But like, I don't know. It was also much different than normal because I'm like used to being in a forest, you know, like. But with the rolling hills, I could really see everybody.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. It was intimidating that way. I was afraid the whole time. And compared to Mudslinger, like, it's like dramatic differences in my performance.
Yeah.
I think like I still got third at Mudslinger, but again with those faster pro women, but it wasn't good.
You finished behind Clara Honsinger, who is
She's
national champion and world pro cyclocross racer.
Yeah.
Actually, Clara beat me as well.
Yes.
By like 30 seconds. So
yeah. So I don't know. The elite women at Mudslinger, we got to start together.
Okay. Yeah.
We did. There was only like 4 of us, and we were spaced out, so it was safe and everything, and everyone had masks. But it was like I don't know. Serena asked the guy. She's like, "Can we just start together? There's only 4 of us." And he was like,
Wait,
okay.
he let you guys all start right at the same time. Oh, that's fantastic. They let you guys do that.
Yeah, I think though, she wanted me and Natasha to burn out, but like in like the most kind-hearted way possible of winning strategy.
Strategy.
She's great, but like it didn't work for like 15 minutes. Like I hung with her, like she was in sight, and
this
for that,
is Serena or
Serena.
This is Serena Gordon we're talking about.
Yeah, she's for Live Factory Racing.
Yeah.
She's cool. And I don't know. Then I lost her, and Natasha, my other competitor and friend, she's like a year younger than me.
Natasha Viznak.
Yeah, from Ben. She like fell back, and then I got lazy, and I was just like, I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it, and I had a really bad morning. Like my mental state wasn't like good anyway, and I was just. And then I wasn't doing good on the descents, and I crashed twice, and and then I didn't have a shirt, and Lance gave me a shirt, and it was like way too big, and I had like shorts from my other team, and I just looked dumb. And then like by the end, I was like, it's crazy I hadn't seen Natasha yet because I was like, I'm just like lacking. And then I saw her, and I was like, damn it. So
she lit a fire under you.
And then I started going faster. And then like, she came in like 30, 40 seconds behind me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Fun race, though?
It was fun. Like, I had like a really good time.
Yeah.
And I was happy to be out once I started, despite everything, but I was just not happy with my time.
Gotcha. Usually we backpedal right now, but let's talk a little bit about going forward. You've got a couple races on the calendar coming up?
Yeah. Literally on Friday. I'm racing short track in Arkansas for the Pro XCT series. Ooh. It's a UCI race, and then on Sunday is the XCO. And I am like, I don't want to say I'm nervous, but at the same time, it's U23, so we get to race with all of the pros, and despite age, and it's the first year, everyone gets destroyed typically in the first year unless you're like super crazy good. And so I don't know, we'll see what happens, but it's like the Olympic long team. It's kind of like a race that helps decide the Olympic team. So
big picture, this is a much bigger race weekend coming up than this past weekend of Mudslinger. No, nothing against Mudslinger. I mean, that's a great event there, but that's probably where you almost looking past Mudslinger, anticipating that. So Mudslinger was just kind of go out there, get another race.
Training day for you.
Honestly,
Mudslinger.
Yes. Yeah. And I have this like problem with pushing myself too hard racing, like with Echo, like I literally took me, and I did everything right after, but it took me like actually 7 days to feel better after that. Like I couldn't even get full. Like when I was like eating food, like I just couldn't stop eating.
You wrecked yourself.
I did. It was bad. And so like, I don't know, but with that, like, although I didn't feel good, it's kind of the only time I feel like satisfied. So it's not really the place. It's like how well I know I could have done better on Saturday. So
you're heading out to go do this racing. We wish you all the best and super amounts of good luck there.
I need that.
there's a short track race on Friday and an XC race on Saturday. Is that how it works?
Sunday.
On Sunday.
So that's like it determines your start.
You do the short track, and your finishing there determines where you start on the grid on Saturday.
Yeah, so
Sunday.
It's determined by UCI points, but you get points from short track. So then it affects your lineup position, and it's really important.
Nice.
Really, yeah.
I'm guessing this is not going to be televised in any way, shape, or form. Or will they have any kind of a YouTube presence, or will it be televised? Is there somewhere people can watch this?
Well, okay, I don't think so.
Gotcha.
But I know that they do World Cups, and like they always have those on Red Bull TV, but this isn't a World Cup. It's just a UCI race.
Okay.
It's like, it's not part of the series in Europe.
Gotcha.
They're calling it the U.S. Cup.
It's the U.S. Cup. That's not on. Yeah, this is like the series that leads up to, USA National Championships.
Yeah.
But it's also UCI.
Gotcha.
So that's like bigger. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like
one other thing. Last time we had you on, you were deciding between a couple different schools. You want to tell us where you landed, what you decided on?
Yeah, I committed to Brevard College in North Carolina, and I'm super excited about that. I mean, it was a really, really hard choice, but I think I'm going to be really happy there. So
awesome.
I'm stoked.
So when do you take off to go to school?
I'm not. It's like the end of August, early September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're still going to be doing a bunch of racing outside of the college tour as well.
Yeah. So the college season is in the fall. So Nats will be in July, and then that'll probably be when I'm chilling out to prepare for the college XC race season. And then again then there's like cyclocross in the winter. I'm not sure if I'll do that or not, because I just don't have any experience, because I just never had the chance really.
Yeah.
But then again, there's the Pro XCTs in the spring, like a year from now. So keeps going.
I have a sneaking suspicion you'd be pretty good at the cyclocross stuff, knowing how to turn yourself inside out, having that engine that burns really bright, and then the bike handling. I think that you would do well.
And they're only 60-minute races for the elites. So.
I know, but it's different.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done it and I enjoyed it thoroughly, and there's been a couple times where I did really well, and then the other times it was just like not good.
Yeah.
But I think it just needs I need practice. Like, there's with cyclocross, I find it a little more stressful than XC. Like, I enjoy the stress, but it's like every small thing is like vital, and I really need to practice like the dismounts, like remounting, jumping over barriers. I've never jumped over the barriers before, so it's I don't know. It would be something that I would have to work up to.
Yeah, but it's bike racing, and you've got that in you.
Yeah, I would totally. I love bike racing, so anything would be good.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, what kind of? Is there a whole series of like college races between colleges? And can you, if you're racing for your college, can you also do the UCI races as well? How does that work?
Yeah. So the college, so, most kids are on development teams or like pro teams, or like, you just at least have a sponsor. Like I'm just, I Specialized as my sponsor.
Yeah.
And I don't and then I'm on Dialed. And then like, so when I'm on, when I'm on the Brevard College team, I race for Brevard at college events, and then at national events and international stuff, I'd race for Dialed, or if I get selected, then I'd race for the USA.
Yeah.
And Dialed, because that doesn't conflict anything. Yeah. So
hopefully we can help you support to get there.
Let me ask you something. I think you were trying to decide between Brevard in North Carolina and Fort Lewis. Fort Lewis in Durango.
Uh-huh.
What was the deciding factor for you?
It was like really difficult. Like, it took me all year and kind of waited till the last second to commit. And when I visited Brevard, I just felt like it would be the overall best fit for me.
I remember you telling me that on that gravel ride that we did a couple weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
that it just felt like home for you. It just felt like you fit in there, and that's where you needed to be. And that's that gut feeling right there. That's usually pretty big. So
yeah, and with choosing a college, I've heard a lot of people tell me that usually it's not really a bunch of reasons on a bullet point list. It's more like what you feel like.
Yeah.
And I think that's just, it felt good. And I just probably want to go with what feels good when I'm just picking a place to live and train. So
good.
Yeah.
Right on.
They will have better winners.
That's what I'm happy about. Honestly, okay,
North Carolina than they
it was
will in
snowy
Durango.
like a week ago or two in Durango.
Yeah.
So.
Crazy.
I'm not a fan of that.
Don't like the snow?
Well, I do. I love
just
it.
Not to ride and
I
train
don't
in
want
it.
to ride and train.
Yeah,
in it.
training in the cold that's a bummer.
Honestly, it kind of
It's
wears
hard.
me down
Yeah.
more. I don't have a lot of motivation for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I this year I tried really hard to do it, but
Yeah,
I was just
there's so many different layers to why that's hard. It sucks the life out of you. You can only take just being frozen and not being able to feel your feet when you get off the bike so many times.
I know.
And then there's the whole preparation process. It takes so long to
get ready and
geared
put
up.
on all that junk.
And then you go out and ride and you destroy your bike because it's covered in all kinds of garbage.
Yeah.
And then there's like coming back and you're soaked and you got to take off all your gear. Then you got to go get yourself warmed up and then you got to go back out and tend to your bike. And it's just the whole process. It literally adds, 30 minutes, maybe 45
I would say
minutes?
for me, it adds a lot of time.
Yeah.
I'm just like, this year made me like a little more organized, but it would just take me forever to get ready, and like, not wanting to would make me take longer. And then like, I would like, not plan my days around the weather and then make a mistake. And then I came back one time and I couldn't feel my hands at all. It was like super painful because it rained on me. And then like, it actually hurt.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And so my dad is like, he told me you have to put it under put your hands under cold water.
At first and then slowly warm it up.
Yeah, I didn't know that. And it worked. I was just like, I've never been that cold.
Yeah.
Fun time.
I think that's just part of winter training.
Yeah.
You just kind of, you eventually figured it out, or you sit on Zwift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes Zwift look a lot more appealing after so many times of that. So cool. I'll backpedal real quick. I didn't race.
We wanted you to race,
Boo.
Jake.
Yeah.
Mudslinger was like rough though. So I don't know if you would have felt
more
happy
technical.
About it.
I probably could, but I just don't. I can't go down. I can't crash. I don't want to jeopardize anything. And I've got this long trajectory that I'm trying to stay on to get some sense of stability in my shoulder. I don't want to, bemoan about that any more than it is. And I don't know. We'll see if I can get back to it at some point in time, someday, some year. I don't know, maybe. But for now, I know what I can and can't do, and I'm just going to stick to that. So
yeah,
I think that's good. Don't feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Just do that.
What about gravel racing or road racing? You think you might?
I think the one that I could probably see myself doing the most would be gravel, because in that scenario, I'm most likely to stay in full control of everything going on.
Yeah.
The road racing stuff makes me a little bit nervous because when you're in a big pack and
More packs.
and
Yeah.
my last big road race finished with me going down 150 meters from the
Cherry
finish
pie.
line because somebody crashed right in front of
Yeah.
me when we were going 35 miles an hour. And I don't. I mean, you can go down, you can crash, but I don't know how my body would come out the backside of that. It doesn't feel good any way, shape, or form, but I don't know how much more damage I would do to my shoulder. And I don't really want to take on any more concussions. I've had enough of those, you guys. Those are not fun.
There's no need to.
Yeah. So gravel racing, I don't see that they get as bunched up. They get stretched out pretty good. I mean, you're not generally dealing with, 15, 20 people in a sprint finish or, whatever those end up working out to be. They can come down to the sprint kind of thing, but it's more of like just being able to hold your own and pick your lines wisely when you're doing the single track stuff, and then just don't crash in general. And that's usually, if I can control that, I can keep the rubber side down.
So there is a gravel race this weekend.
There is.
Have you? I don't believe there is 1 meter of single track on it. It's gravel and paved roads.
100% would have gone to the Gorge Gravel Grinder, but I'm going to be out of town again this weekend.
Oh, that's right. You're going to visit my
mom. Yeah, it's my mom's birthday. I haven't seen my mom in almost a year and a half. So, because of COVID, I'm going to go up there and see her. So she's turning 66.
You need to do that.
Yep, that's going to take precedent. But anyway, going back to this past week, it was a decent week. Didn't get to do as much training outside as I wanted to, and that really boils down to the fact that I was gone again last week. And so I compressed, and Lance was here helping me out, but compressed 5 days down into 3, and everybody wanted everything yesterday, and there was just so much work to get done that I did find myself on the trainer for a few of those days. But we did do our Wednesday night flogging ride.
We did. It was like 70 degrees. We had a big turnout.
72 when I left my house, which was friggin' awesome. And there was, I think, over 30 people that showed up to that ride.
It was fantastic.
We unveiled a new 3rd group, which I think worked out really well.
It did.
And everybody went out there and had a good time. Kind of.
Well, not for me. There's an A group, an A- group, and a B group.
Yeah.
A- group.
Yeah.
I need the A- group.
Well, we didn't want to go A, B, C. That's who wants to be C? So A minus, and B. So.
Well, it was kind of funny because there were some guys the week prior that were in the A group the first week, and then the second week, because they didn't want to get dropped from the A group, they went out and rode with the B group, but they're way too strong for the B group. So I'm like, we'll do A-, right? So you can work your way back up to the A group. And I think that ended up working out pretty well, and everybody got flogged pretty good. I was riding with one of our juniors, Adam, and I noticed about halfway up, maybe 3/4 of the way up to the regroup spot, he was not looking good at all. And I'm like, hey, stay on my wheel. And he's like, I don't know. And then I asked him, like, are you okay? He's like, I just got my first COVID shot and I'm not feeling good. So he was looking a little peaked, and you could definitely tell that he was not feeling the love. So I pretty much sat up with him and watched Guy Van and Nate. And who else was in there? Dustin Shockton and let them go. And my God, they were going like gangbusters. So it was a lot of fun until, maybe it was a good thing for me to sit up and let them go anyway, because they killed it. And Guy Van didn't stop. He just kept going.
He just went.
He did the whole thing, and he just crushed everything.
He didn't regroup at all. He just kept going. Skipped it. Yeah.
He made a segment for the whole route,
right,
and just went and rode and crushed, and it was fun.
Well, it's like 12 miles out. The first section is like 12 miles out to the regroup, and then 12 miles back. I rode with the A group as well for about 2 miles, and I got popped in the first 2 miles.
You sprinted for the first sprint ahead stop sign, and I think the group had a different mission, and I kind of saw that too. I'm like, I'm not going to sprint for that stop sign, because if I come off for 1 second, I will never catch back on. And what did Lance do?
I got popped. I read it completely wrong, and that's why we do these things, so that you can practice these things. I read the group entirely wrong. I sprinted for the first stop ahead sign. I won, and I was super stoked and got dropped immediately. Yeah, right out the back. I could not jump on when the group went by.
Yeah, that was fun. And then we did a regroup, and everybody was there. It was a big group, and then people started rolling off, and I was talking with a couple people, and then I was riding with somebody else trying to get them pulled back on. And as we were getting to the long straight section where everybody really drops the hammer, the group kept getting further and further away. They turned left onto that road, and I'm like, there's a pretty good gap here. I'm probably a good 50 to 100 meters behind, and they turn and start dropping the hammer, and I see a car come up. I'm like, well, that sucks. And I had to stop and wait for them to go by. And then they went, and there was just no catching on. And the lady that I was trying to pull on was like, no, just go. I'm like, I don't like leaving anybody behind. But then I just kind of put my nose down and just went as hard as I possibly could. And every time I almost caught back up, there was a traffic something or other, a stop sign or a stoplight. And I would get to maybe 20 or 30 meters away. Then I would have to stop and watch them right away again. I'm like, good God. So I finally caught you guys at the very, very end. But that was a heck of a workout trying to catch back up.
It was some solid work. Yeah.
And then I went down to Phoenix, and I rode in the hot desert. It was the exact opposite of those cold days, Paige. I think the last ride I did, when I started, it was 96 degrees out.
Oh my God, I would die.
It was toasty. It was a tad bit warm. But it was spectacular riding minus a couple sections in there. It was just fun riding through the desert on Jeep trails, on gravel roads, and single track stuff.
You took your gravel bike?
I did.
Yeah.
And that was a blast. I think that was the right selection for me. So the only thing that I kind of regret was not properly setting up I'm using the Wahoo Roam right now, setting up the maps. If you have a Wahoo unit and you are going to be traveling outside of your normal area where you ride, make sure that you go in there, make sure that the maps are updated correctly. Just do that, because there's a good chance that wherever you're going, they're not going to have the local maps, because they load it with everything from around the world.
Correct.
And they don't have as much storage or memory as some of the Garmin units.
Yes, we are mid-edit of our Wahoo versus Garmin
I was hoping
YouTube
to have that
video.
out by now, but it'll be out soon enough. Hopefully this week, maybe, fingers crossed. But anyway, long story short, it took me through some pretty crazy stuff once I did get the mapping figured out, and I was riding some stuff where I probably should have been on like a big giant travel enduro bike, and I'm on my gravel bike going, yeah, this is a hike a bike section, huh, boys? So it was fun, and rode all 3 days that I was out there, and
nice.
Was going to ride last night. Lance picks me up at the airport, and I'm like, I got some time, and then decided to go for a hike with my wife out at the park instead, and took some pictures and had fun, and rode on Zwift last night. So anyway, that's
You're still streaking.
Still streaking.
Because Sean hasn't quit yet, has he?
That's correct.
So you and Sean are still streaking.
I jokingly said, hey, Sean, this is up to you in a Strava post. And he quickly chimed in and said something to the effect of 300's not that far off. And then when you get to 300, it's not too much farther than 365 for 1 year. I'm like,
oh my God. That's crazy.
And that reminds me, too, one of the rides that I did out there, I was out riding around, and it was dark, and I'm still riding outside because I hadn't quite hit the hour yet, and I'm just kind of like making like little lollipops here and there, and riding up and down roads, just trying to extend it. When I looked down at the Wahoo, it said that I'd been riding for an hour and 10 minutes, and I'm like, all right, is that the total time or the elapsed time? And I'm like, I know how much time I spent stopped, and it was not more than a minute or two. So I'm like, an hour and 10 should be plenty, right? Yeah. And then I get back, and then I push finish, and then on the Wahoo, it says that I rode for an hour and 1 minute. That was like the total ride time. I'm like, oh, sweet. And then it uploads to Strava, and Strava says I rode for like 57 or 58 minutes. I'm like, come on, Strava, get with it, man.
I always ride like 5 extra minutes, but if I don't, then it really bothers me when it says it's less.
Yes.
It makes me mad.
Well, the whole thing
like
behind
2 hours and 57 minutes.
Yes. You got to end on nice round numbers. But the whole premise behind that was when we started this challenge back on August 16th, 2020, it was supposed to go for 100 days. And
100 days, at least an hour a day.
It had to be at least an hour a day.
So what did you do?
Well, I'm going to call foul on Strava, and
no,
I have
Jake's done.
I have I have screenshots of the actual post on my Wahoo app, and it will show that I did in fact ride for a full hour and 1 minute. So
that's funny.
I'm going to either take a mulligan or call foul or
something.
Protest, riding under protest.
So. You can have like 5 chances to like ride a full hour or something like that.
5 chances? What?
Yeah, like you could if you ride for less than an hour, like more than 5 times, you're out.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say just once. It should. I'm going to take it to the judge and jury. We'll call good on that. Cool. Let's move forward into some lead out news.
Champ here. I'm all about having fun.
What's up,
get
Champ?
a couple cocktails in me. Start a fire in someone's kitchen.
Champ Bailey here.
Go to SeaWorld, take my pants off.
Put your pants back on.
Took my pants off.
What's up, Champ?
One big race that happened this week, the Tour of Flanders, and it was quite exciting. Lots of hitters were in the race. Lots of big people were showing up to do this. Did you watch any of this race, Paige?
No.
No. Do you even know what the Tour of Flanders is?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, it's one of the monuments of cycling. This is in Belgium. Is it in Belgium or Amsterdam? Is it?
Yes.
Okay. It started in Antwerp and finished in Van der Vloeden. I don't know. I just completely butchered that. Anyway, 260-kilometer race. So big, long race. Last year it was won in a sprint by Matthew Van Der Poel. He outsprinted Wout van Aert by an inch. It was a super fun race last year, and all those guys were in it again this year. And it was kind of crazy because with like 10 kilometers to go, Matthew Vanderpool tried to drop the whole group, and he got out, and Casper Asgreen from DeCunit Quickstep, he was able to go with Matthew, but they dropped Wout Van Aert, and he ended up back in the group and kind of fell apart. And so the two of them rode away. They get to 1,000 meters to go, and Asgreen is sitting on Vanderpool's wheel. Vanderpool is like super strong. He's just a crusher. And so we all thought it was Vanderpool's race, and they start sprinting, and Vanderpool popped.
Uh-oh.
He got beat by Casper Asgreen. It was a fantastic, 260 kilometers. He had just toasted himself. And
how long can you how long can you stay on point like that? I mean, he's been in like peak race fitness shape since the beginning of the cross season.
And he like sprinted hard, and it looked like it was close. And then literally with like 20 meters to go, he just sat up and shook his head like,
he
nope.
cramped, didn't he?
Yeah, he cramped. Yeah, but he just
sat up and like
he sat up and like shook his head like, nope, I don't have it. It's his.
Oh wow.
Yep.
That's crazy.
And so Casper Asgreen won. Alaphilippe's teammate, which was super exciting, and third place was Greg Van Avermaet, who was very motivated. He hasn't won this race, and he wants to because it's in his hometown. I don't know if the finish or the start, whatever, but Van Avermaet took third, and everybody else kind of blew to pieces. So
crazy.
Tour of Flanders. It was pretty exciting.
I was watching March Madness.
And?
The Gonzaga game was cool.
the UCLA Gonzaga game?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Should we move away from bike racing from Champ
no.
Bailey and go to actual sports?
I was just saying. I watched that. I watched something.
That was super exciting.
It was.
Gonzaga, this was to get into the Final Four, or was this?
It was the Final Four.
It was the Final Four. When is the championship game? Is it like tonight or tomorrow?
Well, there's a game tonight.
There's a game tonight.
I'm hanging out with like my 3 girlfriends, and they're not going to watch it. So
You're gonna miss it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's fine.
UCLA ties the game with 3 seconds to go on a layup.
Yeah.
And the Gonzaga team did not call a timeout. They what's the guy's name? Suggs?
Suggs.
Yeah. So Suggs gets the ball, dribbles across half court, just gets across half court, tosses up for prayer, cans it.
Yup. That was the end.
And Gonzaga wins.
Did you watch, Jake?
No,
it was worth it. I was actually, it was after Mudslinger. I got home and I didn't even shower. I just like sat there and watched it the whole time.
And that was
against it was worth
UCLA?
It. Yeah,
was it?
It was
UCLA
tied.
Gonzaga.
They went overtime. It was cool.
Super exciting.
Yeah. I don't even know anything about basketball.
But you're about to go to college in North Carolina, which is like basketball central.
It is?
Yeah.
There's a lot of Gonzaga fans around here. It's in Eastern Washington.
It's in Spokane.
Yeah. It's in Spokane.
Yeah.
So,
that's pretty cool.
Makes sense.
Kind of exciting.
Cool.
So, other than that, the only other exciting thing that happened was with new UCI rules.
Why is that happening?
I don't know. But there was a rider that got tossed out of the Tour of Flanders because he tossed a bottle in a spot he's not supposed to toss a bottle.
fan, right? Of sorts, or just needed to get rid of a bottle?
It was something like that.
That's so stupid.
And there was a couple guys that like headbutted each other, and they both got tossed from the game as well. One guy.
How do they like get them out? Like just.
Oh, do
they actually pull them off, or they just?
Yeah, they like ride up, like
drive up to him, say
drive
you're
up to him and
just
said
go back to your team
you're
car.
out. Yep.
I don't really get that. Is there like good reasoning? Because it doesn't sound reasonable right now.
Yeah. Yes and no. You got to have some rules, and sometimes there's too many rules, and sometimes there's not enough, and that's the
I mean,
the way it goes.
You're not allowed to sit on your top tube in the super tuck anymore.
Nope.
You're not allowed to put your arms in the fake aero bar position. Your socks have to be a certain length. You can't
actually your socks
legit correct.
That's a UCI rule.
Yeah, you're not
can't be too short, can't be too long.
And for the longest time, like when
Paige, you sure you want to go do this UCI race?
It's
in
mountain
Fayetteville?
biking.
Yeah, you're right.
Last year I had like the wrong logo on my socks, so I like shoved them down.
Seriously?
Yes.
Wow. Anyway. So yeah, there's some dumb stuff there, but
Champ Bailey out. Thank you.
All right. Sorry, I was sitting over here getting our Patreon little jar all fixed up and trying to make the things a little bit smaller so we can get a little bit more like shaken up in there and make this a little bit easier
that's a good idea.
to do. We don't have any new Patrons, but we've definitely got a bunch of them and just wanted to say thank you to all of them. And we're going to do drawings. We've got a bunch of new stuff that's in that bin now, too. We had a bunch of pickle juice from the company Pickle Juice.
Thank you, Pickle Juice.
We got a bunch of stuff from them now. We've got the brand new dialed cycling buff is in there.
It's all orange with just black lettering.
Yeah, it's actually
nice.
a pretty sharp looking thing. And there's a bunch of other goodies in there as well. So if you are the winner of the drawing, you get to come down and pick out whatever suits you best. So that should be fun. Let's shake this thing up good here. Paige, why don't you go ahead and pull one out of there? She can't see any names, and hopefully it won't be one of the same persons that wins. It seems like every single week now that I've folded up the things a little bit better. Hopefully she can read my chicken scratch, and it is chicken scratch.
Is that an R or a B?
Mark Radford.
Radford, who has won.
Sorry. Yeah. It doesn't look like a B. I was just like, Bradford? Oh, it's Rad.
And that's our Rad. That's my big giant R. Sorry.
No. It's good. I was just like, never mind.
Mark has won before. Now, it's kind of funny. Like, it seems like the same, like 4 or 5 people win every single week. But
we're trying to show love to everybody.
Yeah, there's close to 30 names in there, which is kind of crazy. So anyway, yeah, maybe we should start doing like an eliminator thing. Just make sure that everybody wins something. Anyhow, Mark Radford, swing on by the lab and pick up your new Pickle juice, yeah. Cool. If you're interested in becoming a patron, you can go to dialpodcast.com. There is a link there on that page. Click on it. Choose one that works well for you. And we'll be happy to have you on our Patreon team. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Cool beans. All right, our topic for today, because we've got some mountain bike folks sitting at this table. I think I've got a little bit of mountain bike history, but these two over here actually are racing them all the time and know quite a bit about them. We're going to help you guys choose the right mountain bike. If you're interested in learning more about that, this is going to be the topic for you. This show, we're going to go through picking the right mountain bike for you. So Lance has got a list of like 8 or 10 things or whatever that you want to choose. But before we get into that list, I wanted to ask a couple questions. What kind of a mountain bike do you think people typically just gravitate to without any knowledge or know-how when it comes to bikes? What do you think their eye automatically goes to, and that's what they think they want?
The full suspension bikes.
Full suspension bike? How about
that's what I was going to say.
Okay. And I'm going to even go a step beyond that. I'm going to say that for some reason, it seems like people naturally just gravitate towards like a big enduro bike or almost like a downhill bike.
I agree.
And then they go out and they start doing some riding, and then they quickly discover that those downhill bikes are called downhill bikes for a reason, because they don't go uphill very
They do not go uphill fast.
And they are pretty slow on the flat stuff too. And they're maybe like, oh darn, maybe I bought the wrong bike and I maybe needed something that was more like an all mountain bike or maybe a cross country bike. So that's kind of one of those things that I see pretty often. People talk to me about, hey, I just got into this mountain biking thing and I need you to tune up my bike, and they roll in, and like after talking to them and what kind of riding they're doing, and then I see the bike that they roll in, I'm like, that's kind of a mismatch there, but maybe we can help some folks make a better decision.
So what are the different types of mountain bikes that people would be looking at?
You've got your full-on downhill and
full downhill suspension, which are heavier bikes with more travel in them, which means deeper suspension.
Yeah, it almost looks like a motorcycle without the motor.
Yeah.
So you've got that. You've got an enduro bike, which is going to kind of be in that same vein, but maybe a little bit more lightweight because
a little bit lighter, a little bit less travel.
Correct. You're going to have a cross country bike,
which is way lighter, less travel. And by travel we mean how much the suspension compresses. Thank you.
Gotcha. And then we've got there's even in the cross country realm, there's starting to become more options there. You're going to see anything from like 90 millimeters of suspension up to like 130.
Yeah, that's about right.
Picking out the right one there is going to be a little bit of a challenge. And in the cross country vein, you've also got hardtails.
Hardtails means front suspension fork.
Correct.
And then rigid frame in the rear, no rear suspension.
Correct. And then there's even kind of a hybrid bike like the old BMC Team Elite that had that elastomer, which gives you a little bit of cushion back there, but it's not true suspension, but it's kind of like a tweener kind of thing. You've got full rigid mountain bikes.
No suspension at all, but big tires.
Yep. And then what am I missing?
That's about it.
Well, you've got your all mountain bike.
Yeah, there's like all trail bikes, which is like a combination between. Oh my gosh, there's so many mountain bikes.
Now you wonder why people are always coming in like, I'm not sure which kind to get. And so it really kind of boils down to what kind of riding are you going to do and what's going to be the prevailing favorite. Like, what are you going to do the most of? Are you going to want to race? Are you going to want to do longer-ish kind of rides? Are you going to want to go out and maybe do shorter rides and be able to attack some more technical stuff a little bit more aggressively?
Paige, what do you ride?
I have a S-Works Epic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is a cross-country style mountain bike, right?
Full suspension.
Yeah,
right?
It's a full suspension cross-country mountain bike.
Sure.
And
do you know how much travel it has? I shouldn't
have
ask you that.
Yeah, it's like the same fork as that one right there. And I just can't remember. I'm running on like zero sleep. Sorry.
We're pumping her full of caffeine to keep her alive and upright at the table today.
Sorry about that.
I think it's 100 front and rear, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong.
I think, no, it is. It is.
100 mils?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So what is it that drew you to that bike in terms of, what you were looking for your racing needs?
So basically, once you are skilled enough on a bike, that you can take that on nearly anything besides like huge downhill stuff, and it'll be fine. It's kind of like all around capable, and it fully locks out, which means the suspension stops working when you are on flats or on roads.
You can push a lever, or yours has the brain in it.
Yeah, mine has a brain, so
geez.
it senses the ground and responds to what you're hitting. So the suspension opens up when you hit something that requires suspension. So, yeah, it's great for racing because it adapts, and it's basically capable of everything on a cross-country course and then much more once you know how to ride.
Are you running a dropper post on that bike?
Yes, and I think that basically everybody in like an XCO race or a Pro XCT has a dropper at this point, except if you're like on a different course where a lot of people will run hardtails. People will switch out bikes based on the course. Hardtails with no dropper are often a great option if you feel that there's no need because, the lighter the better. Right.
Gotcha.
So,
now, didn't you come up on a hardtail, or did you always ride a full suspension?
Oh, so I never had a full suspension bike until like a couple years ago.
Gotcha.
Because I just rode a hardtail, like a specialized hardtail.
Okay. How do you think that played to how you've developed as a rider?
So I think that if you grow up on a full suspension, like, it just depends on the person, obviously, but it can leave, like, holes in things where you're not comfortable on a bike with less suspension.
Yeah.
And I think that really helped me develop into the rider I am because it allowed for, like, the max output of power when racing.
Gotcha.
Because,
from my experience, too, because I rode and raced on a hardtail for a lot of years. It was probably a good 7 or 8, maybe 9 years or something like that.
All on a hardtail.
Yeah, all on a hardtail. And at the time, that was the trend because it was so much lighter for cross-country racing. And the type of stuff that we were racing on wasn't super technical, but there was still a lot of like, all right, you've got to choose the right line because you can't attack certain lines the same way that you can on a full suspension on a hardtail. So it really helped me kind of like visualize and optimize how I went about the whole racing strategy. And it really, I think, kind of cleaned up and gave me more bike handling skills because it enabled me to know where to put the bike, what kind of a position I needed to be in, and how to get through a section as quick as I possibly can. And then fast forward to being on a full suspension, like I still know how to do that with the bike, and then I have the suspension that I can utilize differently in certain situations. So, sometimes it might be taking a clean line is going to be faster. Sometimes just bombing over something and using the suspension is going to be faster, and that's kind of up to you in the moment. But having both of those in your back pocket, I think, is a good place to be, as opposed to just coming up on a full suspension and you just bomb everything. That's not necessarily always the fastest way to go through something. I could be wrong, but at least that's for me.
I actually did the same thing. That's kind of funny. All three of us started on a hardtail, and I rode a hardtail for 5 or 6 years before I actually went to a full suspension bike.
Yeah. I mean, if a person is interested in racing cross country, then a cross country bike is obviously the best option. But, if you're looking to race cross, it's good to be really comfortable on a rigid bike.
Yes. Yep.
For sure. On trails. So.
Yeah. For sure.
I think Chris Surratt at Mudslinger, he raced on his hardtail.
Oh, he did.
He did. There was so much climbing that he just felt like it would be an advantage.
Yeah.
And so he actually has a dropper post on his hardtail, and he did that and actually did really quite well on it. So
good on him.
Yeah.
That's a good thing, but there is a downside to being not on a hardtail and being on a full squish. The biggest thing is probably the price difference between these bikes.
Yes.
They're going to be quite a bit more expensive to go the full suspension. Like if you're looking at like a top shelf, hardtail mountain bike, you're probably going to be in the ballpark of like not top shelf. We'll say really nice.
Yeah.
You're going to be in that $4,000 to $5,000 range, which is a ton of money to begin with, and you don't have to spend that much money. But we're just using it for sake of an example here. But if you're to go apples to apples in terms of like wheels and componentry and all that other stuff, but then you're factoring in a different frame with more suspension, you're going to be spending $8,000-$9,000, maybe 10. I mean, Paige, I hate to even ask how much your bike costs because I know that they don't give specialized bikes away for free, but your bike's got to be somewhere in the ballpark of that $9,000 to $10,000 range.
It was like 11-ish, 12, but like
that's the MSRP.
I would never be able to afford that
yeah,
without
thankfully
being
you have
an
support.
ambassador.
So it's just one of those things where these things start to get super expensive, and then that begs the question of like, all right, is having a bike that's nearly double going to be worth it? Is it going to be giving you that much more in terms of performance on in a race, or if you're not racing, is it worth it to have that much more of an expensive bike than just a hardtail that you can go out and zip around and still have a lot of fun on?
You do not need a $12,000 S-Works.
No, you don't.
At all.
I mean,
it's just like what you're trying to do.
Yeah. I mean, you can get a bike that's going to be less a brain. It's going to maybe get something with some alloy wheels as opposed to carbon wheels. Get something that's going to have a couple tiers down on the group set. It's going to function just the same. It's just going to weigh more. So at the end of the day, you're really paying for weight, and you're paying for some small technologies like a brain that's going to help you, better manage your race, or just have to think about one less thing. It's just going to do it for you.
Yeah, I mean, and specialized, when they say more kids on bikes, they aren't saying more kids on a $12,000 bike. Correct. They're saying more kids on this bike because, like, any bike is going to get you, in like spark of love for cycling.
Sure.
It's just not. Reasonable.
Did you just say sparkle love?
No, like spark a love.
Oh,
for
spark
cycling.
a love.
Sorry about that.
I thought, what's sparkle love?
That's a new word I made
love
up.
Sparkles.
Own it, yes. So there's so many different factors. I mean, all of us sitting here at the table are going to be on a cross-country bike because that's what we do. That's what we like, and that's where we feel at home. Do you guys have anything else other than a cross-country bike?
I had a hardtail for years. I actually, no, I only have a cross-country mountain bike. That's all I've got because I want it to be as light as possible so that I can possibly climb with all these skinny guys and then still have enough suspension to bomb the trail as fast as I can. And generally, cross-country races don't have really technical downhill section.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Like, it's what you need.
Yeah.
UCI has kind of changed a little bit, though.
UCI, the Europe races are very technical.
And that's why you see more cross-country people riding full suspension bikes now. That's why they started to go away from the whole hardtail thing.
I mean, you can do it, but you're obviously professional if you're doing that on a hardtail.
Yeah. But even the professionals are going to be faster on the full suspension bike, and that's why you see that. And that's why there's been a push to go back to the full suspension stuff. So...
You know what changed my mind for me when I went for the hardtail, and it wasn't just because of racing. And I loved my hardtail. I rode it all over the place. I rode this trail, which is one of the more famous, well-known trails in the U.S. called the Whole Enchilada outside of Moab, Utah. Have you heard of it?
No.
Okay. It's called the Whole Enchilada. It is a 30-mile roughly downhill trail.
30 miles of downhill?
30 miles of downhill.
That's crazy.
So you have to get a...
Is it downhill, like downhill racing or like descending?
It's descending.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like, super... There's a couple of technical sections, but you have to get a ride up to the top. You start in Moab, you jump in some guy's van. Actually, Kyle Mears, also known as Mears of Moab, he started a shuttle service solely for the Whole Enchilada. And... they drive you an hour and a half or 2 hours up to the top of the LaSalle Mountains, which is just outside of Moab. You hop out, and there is a whole trail that takes you all the way back to Moab, 30 miles downhill.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's gorgeous.
I wouldn't be able to walk, though.
So, well, that was the thing. I'm like, I'm going to do this. This was a couple, 3 or 4 years ago. I was in Moab. I had the day where I could do it. I did it on my hardtail.
Mm-hmm.
I got done. I felt like I had been beaten up. Like I had run a marathon because I did the whole stinking thing on the hardtail.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and that kind of prompted me, okay, maybe I need more of a downhill bike or more full suspension. And man, when I shifted to a cross-country style bike, it just like opened my world.
It gets really fun.
Yes, it made it way smoother, way funner. The bike isn't lighter. And then the next thing that opened up my world was a dropper post. I didn't do that whole downhill trail with a dropper post. And the dropper post, when you learn how to use it properly, oh my gosh, you can descend and corner faster.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because that's probably something that people are hearing, dropper post. And some people might be listening to this and have heard it but have no idea how you use it. When do you guys engage a dropper post, and how do you use it to your advantage?
Okay. So what a dropper post is, you push a lever and your seat drops. Like, most of them are like 100 millimeters. I think mine's like 80 millimeters or something like that. But it drops enough so that you can get further. You can get your weight back further on the bike so that you can go faster downhill things. And it also helps with cornering. So anytime I come to an obstacle that is like a drop-off or a big rock or something like that, I drop that post so that I can get my weight back and flow over it faster.
Exactly.
It's like wherever you feel like the seat was in your way before.
Yep.
And I never realized that because I always rode with the rigid, seat post and didn't realize, oh my gosh, how much faster and how much more comfortable it is to go over stuff with your seat out of the way.
Yeah. It's kind of nice to get that weight down and back, because the last thing you want to be doing in that kind of a situation is being thrown over the bars.
Yes.
And you'll stick a front wheel and go flying over the bars if you're up too high, and that will definitely not feel good.
I used to go over the bars, 4, 5, 6 times a year.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I've gone over my bar since I've had a dropper post.
Yeah. I'm still going to stand by this too. It's just a matter of time before we start seeing these on road bikes as well.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Get them light enough.
Get them light enough, and well, there's a bike sitting right behind you that weighs 11 pounds, so that's not even UCI legal. So to add a dropper post to that, to get right up to the UCI weight, I don't think that's going to be a problem. But I really think that's going to be the wave of the future with the whole top tube, super tuck thing going away.
The other thing that a dropper post does is when you're in tight corners, like lots of tight little shifting corners going around trees, if your weight is back and you are down further, you can rail those corners much faster than if you're sitting up higher. You'll high side is what you call if you're sitting up on your seat on corners like that, where you wash out and go over the high side.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing, that one of the nice things to pair with a dropper post would be having the right tube, tire, and wheel setup.
Yes.
Now, you probably shouldn't have tubes in your tires anymore. That's the first thing. So be mindful of making sure that you're getting a bike that's going to be tubeless compatible, the wheels, that is.
Yeah.
And then even going with tire inserts like Cush Core.
Yeah.
That's going to make a huge difference in terms of how you can really rail that corner, because you've got a much lower tire pressure.
Yes.
The tire's going to bite way more efficiently, and you're just going to get around that corner even faster with more confidence.
Yeah.
So
in a race situation or in a riding situation, anytime I come to any kind of drop-off or something that looks more technical, I drop my dropper post. If I see a section of trail that has a bunch of tight little turns, I drop my dropper post so that I can rail those corners faster.
how many times this past weekend at Mudslinger did you use your dropper post, Paige?
Oh my God, it's like automatic at this point, like
you
shifting.
don't even think about it; it just happens, right?
Yeah, and at first I wasn't, that great at it. Like, I would do it at the wrong times and just wasn't used to it. But then, it just becomes something that's very natural, and you just, when you'll be most comfortable dropping it and keeping it up. Even if you can't explain it in words, like, you feel the most balanced a certain way, and you know when to drop it. So, yeah. Like all the time this weekend.
Yeah, this was an hour-long race we did this weekend. I probably used my dropper post 50 times.
Me too.
It probably went down and up at least 50 times.
Yeah, it was very up and down. There was some weird sections, and yeah.
Gotcha. Now, with your dropper post, will it allow you to have more than two positions, being more than just the all the way up and all the way down, so you can ratchet up and down?
Yeah, you press the button and then you have to sit on it to push it down.
And then wherever you stop and let go of the lever, that's where it's going to stay.
Yes.
I like that setup. That's the one knock that I have on the BMC. BMC's dropper post right now pretty much is all the way up or all the way down. Correct.
They call it their race dropper post or something like that.
Yeah.
And it is. It's either all down or all up. Yeah.
Huh.
There are certain
Which isn't as good as being able to feather it a little bit sometimes.
But it's still better than nothing. And it's still like, if you're going to use it, you might as well just have it either all the way up or all the way down anyway. I mean, I guess there are a few times when you would want to have it in different positions based on what you've got going on.
Yeah, I had a bike that it could feather it, and I found that I would feather it quite often, but
yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is. In race mode, I'm still it's either all the way down or all the way up.
Gotcha. For the bikes though, let's get into really kind of helping people choose. I mean, we just talked a ton about the cross country scene. We've talked a little bit about the downhill scene, but let's just help them kind of maybe poke their heads into the different options and run through these 8 things that Lance has up here. What do you got? What's the first one?
Okay, knowing what wheel size to get, because there's different options for wheel sizes.
26, which is a thing of the past.
Traditional, that's old school. I don't think they even make a 26 bike anymore. 26. So the wheels are 26 inches in diameter.
Correct. I mean, you'll still see them on some lower level, entry level bikes that are kind of like the hybrid-ish or I don't know. You just don't see them very much, but they're still out there. They're still in the market. You can find them on the secondary market. So just know what you're looking for, and just know that if you are looking for a 26-inch bike, you're probably going to get a screaming deal on it, just because it's kind of
you can't find them. Yeah,
it's kind of like buying a tape in the era of MP3s. So it's just one of those things.
And then 8 or 9 years ago, they went to 29-inch wheels, which is 29-inch in diameter. It's actually. That's the same size as your regular road bike tire, 700 cc or whatever they call it.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you, centimeters. And the beauty of bigger wheels is they roll over stuff easier.
Yeah, the way that I've always equated this to people, especially those who've had kids, is when you push a stroller around, the strollers with the little wheels, they always get caught up on everything. Little rocks, ruts, anything, like any cracks, and sometimes they'll get caught up. And then all of a sudden, I don't know why I'm talking about strollers on a cycling podcast. They came up with these jogger strollers, and I remember getting one,
wheels.
and it was a much, much bigger wheel, and the thing would just motor over everything. When I had my kids, when they were in a stroller, that's what we used, and the thing was awesome. It really tackled everything. And if you apply that same thought to a mountain bike, when you're out there and you've got a smaller wheel, like a 26-inch wheel, it's not going to go over rocks the same. It's not going to go over roots the same, because it will get stuck, because the angle of attack and where that hits it in terms of the balancing point, it will stick, whereas the 29 will hit it and it's just a bump to it. It just keeps going.
Okay, so then a few years ago, there was a whole group of people that said the 29 is too big. We need to have a happy medium, and they came out with 27.5 inch wheels.
Blake Bruni, he puts 27.5 on the front and 29 on the back of his downhill bike.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's always does that, and he wins. So
there's something there.
He races downhill.
Yeah, he's the world champion. Yeah.
It's a little bit more nimble. I mean, it's easier to turn that tire. It's going to get around corners a little bit faster, but you're losing some of that angle of attack. And I think that people that are racing cross country, I think that there's something to be lost there if you're going to be rolling on a 27.
29 is the most beneficial for cross country. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. What's next on there?
Choosing the right size bike for you is also an important thing. And that's tricky, because every bike manufacturer has their own Geometry is hard to. You kind of need to throw your leg over the bike and ride around to see if it's actually going to fit right.
If you were to go out and take 5 different manufacturers and bring in a medium from all 5 different manufacturers, the geometry on every single one of those bikes is going to be different. The top tube length, the stack height, the rake on it. There's so many different things. Like when you start to add it up and look at it, it's going to be different from bike to bike. So you have to know your manufacturer, you have to know your geometry and how that meshes up with you so that you can get the right size. Quick question on that though. If you were to err on the side, maybe you're on the bubble and let's say you can go with a large or a medium, what size are you guys going to err on? Are you going to go a size up, a little bit bigger, or are you going to go size down and ride something that might be a touch too small?
I think because I'm like between small and medium, I go with the small for my cross-country bike.
And why did you choose that?
Well, it has to do with like the length of my legs. Like my friend who's the exact same height as me and we have the same bike, she has a medium, but her legs are much longer.
So your inseam really was what dictated that?
Yes, for sure. So it's just small things like that really add up.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah, I've got longer legs and I think for me that having the little bit bigger bike plays in my favor. I mean, I could probably maybe get on a medium at 6 foot tall, but I've got long legs and long arms. I just feel more at home on a bike that's a little bit bigger, but that's just me. Lance, you're kind of in the same boat though.
I'm kind of in between sizes too, and I pick the smaller one. Like I'm between medium and large, and I would race on a medium, but that hasn't always been the case.
But you were on a large.
I was.
You still are.
Yeah, I know. And that only works if you have the right dropper post on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the bike I had 2 years ago that was a large, it was a tad too big for me. But this last one, they changed their geometry just a little bit, and the large just works for me.
Is it because it's a little bit more of a slack head tube?
It's probably got to be it.
Something like that? Yeah.
But, you think about it, a smaller bike is going to be easier to handle, but you got to find that happy spot. If I was going to order this bike without seeing it, I would have gone with the smaller one, and it probably, whereas the large that I'm racing on now, just... It works.
Okay, so when we're talking about like an all mountain bike, because that's probably where like the vast majority of people probably should be on, or possibly a cross country would be a close second to that. There's going to be a difference in the geometry there in terms of like how the cockpit is set up, and that would be pretty much the length from like your saddle to your bars.
Yeah.
The all mountain bike is going to be a little bit more upright. It's going to be a little bit shorter. So sizing wise, what are you thinking there?
Yeah, I would go a little smaller too.
And that's another question that you have to ask yourself when you're thinking about getting a bike is what kind of a position do you want to be in? Because the cross-country mountain bike is going to put you in a little bit more of an aggressive race position.
Yeah.
So it would be kind of like the difference between an endurance road bike and a race bike. You're going to be in a much more down position, a little bit more aerodynamic and aggressive a position. And that's going to be kind of the same thing between a trail bike and or trail/all mountain bike and a cross-country bike. The cross-country is going to put you in a more of an aggressive position.
And I even got a longer stem on my cross-country bike when I got it fitted. You know, because I like being more forward.
So you could be even lower.
Yeah,
lower.
Because
downhill bikes tend to have like upswept bars even a little bit, higher bars and shorter stems for more downhill control. But that doesn't translate to climbing speed.
It's different.
Whole different can of worms there.
When I had a Santa Cruz Bronson like a couple years ago, and it was upright. And, just because of how I was used to my hardtail and stuff like that, it was just super weird to be, like, up. I don't know. It was a weird feeling.
Awesome. All right, what's next, Lance? What's the next one on there?
If you're not racing, don't stress about weight too much. Mountain bikes are heavier.
Yep.
And if you're not going to be racing this bike, you shouldn't stress too much about how much the bike weighs.
Well, it depends on if you want to go, ride something that's like a cross-country trail and it's like a lot of climbing, you might want to worry about weight.
Yeah. As soon as you start to stress about performance or weight, the cost is going to go up. So if you want to save yourself a buck or not spend a terrible ton of money, you're going to have to be comfortable giving up one thing. And I would probably give up a little bit of weight before I would give up cost, because it's pretty easy over the course of time, if you want to, go back and start to replace certain things that would weigh less, that are going to cost a little bit more, so that at least you can get into the game. I would probably tell people like, hey, get that bike that weighs like 2 or 3 more pounds. That's going to save you a couple $1,000, because no joke, like we've always said, it can almost cost $1,000 per pound when you want to start getting lighter. Yeah. And if over the course of time you really fall in love with the sport, or you really want to get more competitive, or it's a big deal for you, and maybe you lose a bunch of weight because you got on a bike and you're happy and you're fast and you want to get it even lighter, then go buy yourself a nice set of carbon hoops, or upgrade your drivetrain, or get a different crank set that's going to be less weight, or change out your bars from alloy to carbon. I mean, all of those little things over the course of time can be done in small chunks and save you some weight, and then you can just make your bike a little bit nicer, and it's going to keep you stoked to go out there and ride your bike more too, because when you get new stuff for it, it always makes you like, I'm going to go ride my bike because I'm all stoked on fill in the blank bike part that's on there now. So that's just a thought on that. All right, what else?
Just a couple more things.
Go for it.
One, be careful buying a bike that is like future proof a little bit. If I could explain that.
Explain, Lance.
You want one with like a more popular seat post size, or a bottom bracket size, or through axle size, not with odd sizing on those things. Because if you go to upgrade your bike, you might find it really difficult to find parts that are in odd sizes.
Yeah. That's well put, because there are a lot of bike manufacturers out there that will come out with something that they're claiming to be the next latest and greatest, but it's going to be proprietary to them, and it might only be around for a year or two, and the next thing you know, you're stuck with something that you can't upgrade, and probably is not super desirable to the vast majority of people out there looking for a bike. You guys ever dealt with that before?
Not personally.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
You?
No, but I've had plenty of people gripe and complain to me about stuff.
Dang it.
Yeah, it is what it is, but that's a very good point. So,
one last thing, when you're looking at suspension, go for quality suspension, not necessarily a bigger suspension number. Like for us, what we're doing, 100 millimeters of travel is pretty decent, but you can get a cross-country bike that has 140 millimeters travel or 130, and sometimes if it's not a good quality piece of suspension, that might not be more beneficial to you. So less maintenance.
Exactly. What kind of suspension is on your bike right now, Paige?
It's just, the RockShox brain fork with Specialized and 100 millimeter.
I'm so jealous of the brain, man. I really, because that it just automatically like adjusts on the fly. That's fantastic.
Do you find that that's super predictable, or do you find that there's some holes in that where it doesn't work always the way that you want it to?
So it always works the way that I want it to. There's a lever on the back in near the drivetrain where it's like there's a control switch, and you can go soft or harder, but it basically doesn't fully lock out 100%.
Okay.
I love it personally, but when I first got it, it was a big difference from the Fox 34 that I had the year previously, because it had just like a lever on the top where you could switch it manually.
The CTD, climb, trail, descend.
Yeah.
That little lever on there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was just, it was different at first, and then I really got to really like it better. It was just, I don't know. It was good.
Here's what happens to me. This is why I'm jealous. Because, like in this race this last weekend, it started out with a 2-mile climb, right? 2 mile on a gravel road climb. So I locked my suspension out, right? Because I'm going to climb faster with it locked out.
Sure.
And then you get into this hypoxia, oxygen-deprived state where I'm, and I forget to turn the suspension back on when I hit the trail.
Oh, I used to always do that, and it's just a big annoyance, honestly. But the thing with the brain is, even if you set it, you can change the rebound settings too to be faster or slower manually at the top. And there is a lever on the front fork where you can determine like the sensitivity of the brain, but you can't really. Like if the brain senses that you're gonna hit something, like that you're hitting something, it opens up regardless. So if I have it like locked out all the way and I hit like a giant thing, it's still gonna open up and not be in that situation.
I don't remember until I'm going over some stump and I'm like bouncing all over the place and I'm like, what? Why am I riding so bad? Oh, I forgot. I've got my suspension locked out.
I used to do that so much, and then I'd just like go through like an entire race and be like, wait.
I forgot to open my
This
suspension.
might have helped me. Maybe.
Here's another question for you. We didn't really touch on this one. Do you guys have electronic shifting on your bikes?
Yes.
Okay. Lance?
No.
No. Can you guys make a case for or against being electronic with your shifting?
The electronic shifting is way smoother.
Yeah.
That I find. The only drawback is your battery can die. That's it. That's the only drawback I can find with having electronic shifting is if you don't charge your battery.
So like I would ride my bike with my Axis system like 10 to 15 hours a week, and I would literally need to charge my Axis batteries like once a month
If
max.
that, yeah. I think
It lasts a really long time, and they take 45 minutes to fully charge.
Correct.
And the thing is it's like an app on your phone, and if you like bump your derailleur, you can literally just adjust it
Yep.
and just fix it right away.
Yep.
So
It's pretty slick.
it is.
And,
I don't know how you could say against.
It's expensive.
How often
Yeah.
do you hear about people? How often do
But-
you hear about people who have a dead battery on a mountain bike versus how many people who snap a derailleur cable?
Oh, you snap cables way more often.
Way more often. So I mean, I think
Plus,
that
you got no cables all over your bike.
it is clean, it is smooth, and
Yeah.
it's easy to dial in, and it's pretty easy to manage where your battery levels are at too. By looking at that app, all you have to see is like, all right, how much percentage do I have
Yeah.
left? And even the SRAM stuff, their little batteries, they're small. It's easy to throw one of those in your jersey pocket or a saddlebag. So you could always have one with you if you're going to be worried about that.
I mean, like, it's if you can keep track of AirPods, then you can keep track of Axis batteries. You got it.
Lance does lose AirPods pretty frequently, though.
Just when I crash, that's all. But I've lost a few, yes.
But going back to that, though, that's a premium. That's a big upcharge if you're going to go that direction. I think that it will almost double the cost of the drivetrain if you switch over to being electronic, if I'm not mistaken.
I tell you, though, it's worth it. I don't have it on my mountain bike, but it's on my road bike, my gravel bike, my cyclocross bike. I have wireless on all of those, but not my mountain bike.
Okay, so there's a lot of people out there right now who are going to be looking for a bike, potentially. We're coming up to some beautiful summer months here in the Pacific Northwest, and even across the country, you've got a lot of people that are wanting to go out and ride bikes. Bike manufacturers don't have a lot of bikes to spare.
Literally.
Bikes.
They're sold out. Specialized isn't going to have bikes until 2022. Cannondale's kind of the same boat. BMC, we will probably see some bikes. I put in a big order for the lab and for some teammates, and I'm being told that we'll be lucky if we get about 40% of what we ordered.
Wow. It's rough.
But the good side about it is that there are bikes coming. They will be here as soon as later this month, which could be great if we actually get some. But at least something's better than nothing. But anyway, I'm sensing that that's a common theme. I've heard about Santa Cruz, and we said Cannondale and other bike manufacturers. So let's say you want to get into this whole bike thing. The shop doesn't have what you're looking for. Maybe it's a $10,000 bike that they have sitting on your shelf, and that's way out of your price point. Where are you guys going to go look for a used bike? If you're going to go into that market, if that's your only option, just as a stopgap between when bikes come back to the market.
Pink Bike is a very popular site for used bikes. There's Craigslist. There's Facebook Marketplace. Those can be a little more tricky. But I would say Pink Bike would be one of the spots.
Good place to look. Are you guys ever going to buy something on eBay?
Yeah, I would do that too, potentially.
There's just the eBay tax on there.
Yep.
I mean, you're going to be paying more because there's a lot more fees associated. So bikes tend to be marked up a little bit more. I'm trying to pull this up here real quick because I want to give another shout out to this Facebook group that I think is really good. The one that I know of off the top of my head that's pretty popular in the Pacific Northwest, but it seems like there's people from all over the country that are using it, would be the Pacific Northwest Bicycle Classifieds, if I'm not mistaken. Let me continue pulling this up here real quick. So, yeah, we've got the...
It's a huge group, actually, that Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, PNW Bicycle Classifieds.
Yeah.
The other one that is a monster as well would be the Cycle Classifieds in Discussion. They're both closed groups. You have to request to join, but it seems like they let everybody in there.
Yeah.
And it seems like there's a lot of people selling bikes on both of those platforms and having pretty good luck both buying and selling. I've talked to people recently on both sides of the coin, and for all intents and purposes, it seems like it's been a pretty good thing for folks. Just be sure that you're maybe conducting business with people that are on the up and up.
Yep. It's always a little spooky.
Try and get your hands on a serial number so you can put it through the old serial number search engine to make sure that it's not a stolen bike. And then you might want to use some sort of a payment platform that will give you a little bit of reassurance that you're going to actually get what you're paying for. So that might be something for you to consider as well. But when you're out there looking for an actual used bike, we talked about a bunch of stuff. What are you guys going to buy if you're going to go in the secondary market? Obviously, probably cross country.
Well, yeah. I mean, people sell race bikes every year.
Yeah.
Because, it's less expensive for racers to sell them and then buy a new one with that money 1 year after. So the value is still fairly good, you know. So that's what, if I needed, that would be something I'd go for sure.
How about you, Lance?
I got to say, I wouldn't buy a downhill bike. I would rent one. If I go to a place like Whistler or Moab where I'm going to do some big monster downhill, I'd rent one for the day.
How many times do you think those bikes get crashed?
Every time they go out. Every single time.
Yeah.
But that's why. I mean, I can do a lot with my cross country bike, and I'm an old man, so I don't need to be bombing down crazy downhill stuff. I just don't. Yeah. I don't ride like that anymore.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one. Usually, finding a bike that's going to be in pretty good shape is good, but how do some people know whether the bike's in good shape or not? So, what would you suggest to people there if you're going to buy something on the secondary market, knowing that you're not buying somebody else's problem?
I think that, buying a frame is great, and then if you can, new parts is always ideal.
That's good.
Yeah.
If you can get them.
If you can. I mean, if you can't, just like, I don't know. And asking as many questions as possible, obviously.
Yeah.
But
usually, there are a lot of good bike shops out there that will do bike inspections for you, too.
Yeah.
It might cost you a few bucks, but, I mean, when you're talking about spending, like, even just as much as $1,000, just to pay a shop like a fee of, like, $30 or $40 to do a bike inspection, that might be something where you miss it, but they're going to catch it, and that'll save you a whole heck of a lot of heartache.
Yeah.
So, you want to look for frame cracks. You want to look for, damage to wheels. You want to look for, drivetrains that might be worn out, just excessive wear on certain things. I mean,
stretched out chain.
Yeah. And you can play that to your benefit if you have a stretched out chain, but if the chain super stretched out and they've been riding a long time, then you might be talking about need a new cassette or needing some new chain rings.
Yep.
But a chain itself, I mean, that's pretty inexpensive to fix that. But it's knowing that if the chain is stretched, to look for those other little things. So a shop's going to help you out with that a lot. So I think that there's going to be a crazy secondary market over the next 8 to 10 months.
Probably.
So if you're looking in that direction, then be careful. So anything else that we need to touch on with this this topic, picking out a mountain bike? I think we're pretty centric on the cross-country scene, but I still think that that's the best all-around bike in my personal opinion.
Let me just say, and people ask me, what's my favorite bike to ride? And if I'm training, I want to do that on my, road bike for, like, smoothness and speed. If I want to just go really have fun, I'll pick my mountain bike.
Really?
If I'm just going to ride for fun, I'll pick my mountain bike. It makes me... I love my gravel bike. I love gravel riding. I love road biking. Of course, I like all this stuff, but for pure smiles, it's the mountain bike for me.
If you were to have just one bike, and let's say it was a mountain bike, what kind of mountain bike would you go to if you weren't racing? Would you stick with a cross country, or would you think about doing something a little bit more all mountain-esque?
I'm not going to do some big monster stuff anymore.
I wouldn't like that either.
I'm not going to the jump track. I'm not doing the jump line.
I would get like a cross country-ish bike, like a lesser model, so it's less expensive, and have just like a bigger fork.
Like a more long travel bike.
Yeah,
on cross country, like the BMC 4-stroke. They make the new 4-stroke long travel, which is a fantastic bike. It gives you an extra 20 mils of squish.
You can just put a different fork on it.
Yeah.
If you want.
Yep.
So that's what I would do, just to like
have a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like Lance. I don't necessarily want all that extra suspension, and I for sure don't want the heavier bike because I like to go fast. But the extra suspension is going to give me too much confidence, which is going to put me in a sticky situation. Of not if, but when I'm going to go over the bars again and hurt self. So more times than not, though, people just want to be out in nature. They want to be out riding the trails. They want to go out and just have fun on some flowy single track and maybe hit some obstacles. And I think the cross country bike checks all those boxes, and even a cross country hardtail still checks all those boxes, and it teaches you to ride the bike a little bit more efficiently.
Yep.
So if I'm going to put my money on something for recommending to people, I'm going to tell them if price is a sticking point for you, stick with the hardtail cross-country mountain bike. If you've got a few more bucks to spend and maybe you've got some aging body parts that you want to protect with a little bit more squish, see if you can find your way onto a full suspension cross-country bike, and I think that you're going to be super happy, especially with the dropper post on there.
Yep, I agree.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yep. All right, consensus heard. All right, let's jump into one last thing. Paige, I'm going to start with you. What's one last thing going on with you that you want to toss out there for the world's?
One last, well, I kind of discussed the future in the back pedal.
But
I am really excited to stay in Arkansas for 10 days because it's back to what?
Arkansas.
Wait, so the race is in Fayetteville?
Yeah.
Is that right?
And it's 2. It's back-to-back weekends.
Oh,
so
nice.
So that's why I'm staying for so long. And
wow.
Yeah, it's a big trip.
So
being in school.
There's like world-class mountain biking in Bentonville, which is not too far away. Do you know any of this?
No.
Oh.
Wait. Say it again. Bentonville,
Arkansas.
Yeah, I know about that.
Yeah. There's world-class mountain biking there, but these races are at Fayetteville, and I think the reason they're doing these UCI races at Fayetteville is because the cyclocross world championships are being held there in February or January.
World championships, not the national championships.
World championships.
World championships.
World championships. Cyclocross world championships.
Wout van Aert, you'll see Matthew Van Der Poel there. You'll see Pincock. You'll see like the Claire Hansinger and all those lovely women out there killing it.
Actually, we already have a teammate who has a home reserved for the weekend there.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Surratt? Of course.
I might be bumming in on that place with him.
So what are you going to do out there between the races?
Well, I mean, it's a pretty light training week, obviously, because, just recovering.
Yeah.
But probably explore and pre-ride the track more.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How far from there is BB Infinite's headquarters?
They're
not too far from there, right?
They're not too far from there.
Yeah.
I want to say it's like 3 hours. Where is it? I think Bentonville was 3 hours away from BB Infinite.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah,
but I don't know where Fayetteville. Weren't they in?
To hit up Gary and find out if they're going to be.
I can't remember. We can't remember.
In and around there.
It was the name of the town that it was in. Anyway.
Cool. Anything else, Paige?
After that, I'm going to Soldier Hollow in Utah.
Sweet.
So that's sick.
I did a race there in November.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never been there before.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I'm excited.
Mr. Lance Hepler. One last thing.
One last thing. I'm going to race my gravel bike this weekend. No mountain bike racing this weekend. Going to race gravel.
Gorge Gravel Grinder.
Gorge Gravel Grinder.
We got a lot of teammates going out to that too,
we
yeah?
have a lot.
And you're going to do the medium distance?
I'm doing the medium. I'm not doing the long one.
What's the distance on that again?
65 miles, something like that.
Okay.
Still like 5,000 feet of climbing.
Oh, yeah. It's a day. And it can get pretty windy out there too, which can be pretty brutal.
Yep.
But it's supposed to be nice weather here. What's it going to be like out there?
It should be better because it's past the Dalles. It's more into the high desert, but it could still be windy.
Yeah, I was going to say, usually when it's like sunny here and there, it's like windy there.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But good luck on that, my friend.
Thank you.
Cool. My one last thing is I wanted to let everybody know the other local team here that's doing a lot of stuff that we're kind of good friends with is the Pacific Office Automation.
Yes.
They have a lot of those elite 1-2 guys and some gals. They are doing a little unsanctioned race series. They've been doing the Savvy Worlds, which they kind of took over the Savvy Shootout out at Savvy Island. But for the month of April, they moved to Hag Lake, and they're doing laps around Hag Lake. It's an 11-mile loop, if I'm not mistaken.
Rolling loop, not flat like Savvy.
Exactly. So you've got some rollers in there, so the power people can come out to play and not get tore up by the climbers. So it's just, but the climbers can still do pretty well out there as well. But they're doing a 4-week series out there, unsanctioned, and it's going to be a race format for the next 3 weeks. And they are actually putting a prize purse together for the winner, and it's going to be a points race that will be, based on like where you come through the finish for the first 2 laps. You'll get some sprint points. I think it's like 6, 4, and 1 points or something like that. And then for the finish, I think they'll point out to like 10th place or something along those lines. But whatever the case in point is, whoever finishes with the most points is going to win $100.
If the word gets out, people are going to show up because we don't have a road race really on the calendar yet in the state of Oregon or around Portland.
Yeah. So, and that's a beautiful place to ride.
It is.
It's spectacular.
Hag Lake is beautiful.
if you're interested in that, go check that out. You can go to the Savvy Worlds Facebook group, and they've got more information posted there. If you've got any questions, feel free to ping us, and we will be more than happy to help you.
Look at it's Evan Price. Evan Price, one last thing.
The Evan Price just walked into the studio.
Evan Price just walked in. Come get on this mic and do one last thing, Evan.
We'll take any part of Evan Price we can get.
This has to be my worst timing to podcast.
Hold on a second here. Okay, let's turn on this microphone.
That's fantastic timing.
Scoot over towards Paige. You can.
How's it going, Paige?
Good.
Long time no see. It's probably been a couple weeks now.
Okay. What have you been up to, dude?
Swam in a pool in a wetsuit. Picked up some coffee today for Cassie, and I'm trying to get the bike ready in the bike box today. With David Goodman this evening.
You are going to your race this coming weekend, correct?
Yes. Sunday's the race. Leaving Thursday. I'm going to work like a half day, see some patients, then head out right after that.
How are you feeling?
Very good. Race needs to happen, though. There are going to be 62 guys in this field now. Comparison, last year, there were like 24. So it is like 3 times the size of the field.
Wow.
Big hitters.
This is what happens when there's no races. It's just everybody comes to the few races that you have. So,
any more big hitters that you've seen added to that list since the last time we spoke? I know we got like Lionel Sanders in there.
Yeah, Sam Long will be there.
Okay.
Matt Hansen will be there, who's the fastest runner in triathlon right now. And Sam Appleton is another big name. Ben Canute and a couple other Olympian short course guys. So, yeah, it'll be fun.
Did they all know that Evan Price is going to be there?
I don't think so. I think they missed that one. I'm pretty sure the dude that may finish 40th is not making their radar. I was joking with Josh this morning that I think we need to have a 2-speed race. We need to have 30 guys start who are like, all right, you guys get paid to do this, and then the other 30 guys that are like, all right, the rest of you can start now. So.
Yeah, it's kind of like our week rides. We've got the A and the A minus group.
That's
so
exactly what we need.
Pro
we need
minus.
An A minus. Yeah, we need an A minus start group.
That's awesome. Where do you think you're going to do the strongest?
That's a good question. I really feel good on the bike and run right now, but my plan is that the run is going to be where I try to get people. So
really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to use the bike as a setup, and then I really want to run strong.
How can we get you faster in the water, dude?
It's so strange. This year, I'm swimming literally half the volume I swam last year, and my sets are much faster.
Really?
I think I'm so bad at swimming that when I swam less, I got better at the sport. I just did a set that's by far the fastest set I've ever done today.
Can we get you some surgical web implants on your hands and feet?
I don't know. I think it just comes down to just brain rewiring. That's something about too many concussions and your feel for the water, and just me being bad at swimming from a young age was not a good combination. So.
Gotcha. Well, we wish you all the best.
Good luck, Evan.
Good luck.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Is Cassie going out there with you?
Yes. We are both vaccinated now and feel confident going out to Texas. So we are going together, and thank God, because I would be really in a rough place I've traveled to races by myself before, and it's always a
I can't think of a better person to have with you for support.
Oh, she's so organized.
Honest to God, she is so on top of everything.
Oh yeah.
The details with that girl.
For instance, she just caught today that our hotel's front desk closes at 11 p.m. So she pivoted, canceled our first night there, and got a hotel right next to the airport, and switched our rental car, the rental car place right next to the airport in 10 minutes.
Wow.
She saw it and was like, okay, we do just boom right away.
Yeah, that's you and I. If we were in charge of that, we'd be sleeping in the car at nighttime. Dang it!
Taking an Uber an hour away to get to Galveston and sleep in the rental car when we got there.
So anyway, going back to my thing, the Hag Lake, if you want to check that out, go to savvyworlds.com or shoot us an email or post up on our socials, and we'll get you some more information on that. Evan, good luck this weekend.
Thank you very much. I hope everybody got to see Flanders too. Do we get to talk about Flanders?
We talked about Flanders.
A little bit.
God, I hope everybody got to see that.
A little bit.
It was awesome.
Paige, thanks for coming in to join us today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Lance, good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
And we'll catch everybody on the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.